Welcome to Finding Magic, the podcast series where each week I sit down with someone new to discover where they find their magic and explore the wonder, creativity and connection that makes life magical. I'm Beverley Bishop, and I've been on my own journey of finding magic since 2018 after the loss of my son Jess. It began with a play I wrote called Finding Magic, which explored my grief and my path towards rediscovering joy. Today's episode is a really special one because I'm joined by someone very, very close to my heart. My mum, Margaret Pixton. Like so many of us, my mum has been by my side through so many moments, big and small. So I thought it would be wonderful for us to sit down together and talk about the magic that we've shared, the lessons that she's passed on, and the everyday magic that she finds in her own life. So, Mum, welcome to Finding Magic.
Hello, Beverley.
It's kind of special in itself, the two of us here in this studio, like talking about magic.
Yes.
But let's start at the very beginning, Mum. Do you have a favourite memory from when I was little where you saw a spark of magic in me?
Yes, I do, actually. You've always been talented, singing and dancing, and I took you to dancing lessons at age 3. And you come on so well. When you was 8, you were asked to be in the whole pantomime.
Was that Sleeping Beauty? Or was that Babes in the Wood?
It was Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, yeah.
And each night, a parent went backstage with the children. And this particular night, I was with you. And it was so lovely to see you on this big stage. And the fairy was on. And you said to me, one day, I want to be a fairy. 40 years later, there I was, sat in a theatre.
Yeah, it was at the Galston Pavilion, as I
Yes,
remember.
it was.
Mother Goose.
Yes. And there you was, a fairy. Now, is that magic? Me sat there watching my daughter, age, I think it was 52.
I think I might have been 52, giving away my age now. But it just goes to show that even at the age of 52, I was able to be a fairy because you're never too old.
No, never. And you actually sang the song about never too old to be a fairy.
I know, I remember it really well. It's nobody loves a fairy when she's 40, and I remember thinking, well, I've got the last laugh because I'm 52. But it's lovely that you shared that particular memory because I remember both of those moments really clearly. I will never forget being in Panto. And I remember so clearly thinking, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'll never forget that feeling of being on stage and the audience clapping and cheering. And I still remember that moment when I was backstage with you and then there was the fairy and telling you, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And then that moment, all those years later, I did get to be a fairy.
Yes, you did.
And that, yeah, for me, that's also a really magical moment that, yeah, I got to do what I wanted to do when I was 8. And
Yes.
that's really, really special. I'd love to find out from you, Mum, a magical moment that you've experienced yourself. A memory or something that happened where you thought, this is truly magic. Any particular moments that you remember?
My first grandchild, which is Samuel Sidney, is his name, after his great-granddad was Sidney.
Yeah, Sidney Peacham, my granddad.
Yeah.
Your
Which
dad.
Peachy, that's where Peachy sort of comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, I've got a clown character called Peachy, named after my granddad, Grandad Peacham. So I was in labour, and then what happened, Mum? well, obviously I gave birth to Samuel Sidney Fairweather.
Yes, I come to see you. He was just a few hours old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he'd been actually bathed at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so magical, just holding my first grandchild in my arms. That's magical.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, my telephone rang, and it was my friend, a cycling friend, and she rang. And of our little group, I was the first one to be a grandma, which I am grandma, not Nana. And she said to me, "What does it feel like being a grandma, Margaret?" And I said, "It's just like falling in love again. Now that is magic."
Yeah. And I'm yet to experience that. And I can't wait to be a grandma. I always used to think, oh, I'm too young to be a grandma, when I'd see other people my age who had grandchildren, and I'd think, oh no, I'm far too young to be a grandma. But now, I'm ready to be a grandma.
Yes, it's something else.
Yeah.
Being a grandparent is something else.
And what's the difference, would you say, from being a grandparent to being a parent?
Well, you're not so strict.
Does that mean you spoil them?
Very. When the parents are not there, you spoil them. And I had Sam and Jess quite a lot.
You looked after them a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you spoiled them wrong.
Yes. As far as I dare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not as strict as a grandparent. Is it a different feeling?
Yes, it is a different feeling. I can't tell you how or why, but it's just a different feeling.
Yeah. And what is so lovely is, well, Sam and Jess, we're always so close to you in particular. And of course, we don't have Jess with us anymore. But, Sam is now, nearly 30. And the two of you do have a really special bond.
Yes, we don't see each other very often, but we text and messenger often. He's up in Scotland, I'm up in Norfolk.
Yeah. It's really lovely to see that bond between the two of you. And I remember that I had that bond with my grandma, your mum, Nellie.
Yeah.
I did have a really strong bond with her. And, I have got such lovely memories, mostly actually quite simple things like just sitting by the fire with her. She was in her armchair, I was in the other chair, and she just talked to me about growing up, what life was like in Hull. And we'd have loads of cups of teas, and I just used to love spending time with her. And I wonder whether that's something that grandparents have that parents might not, is more time.
Yes. I've just had another memory about talking about your grandma.
Mm.
You did a play about your grandma.
I did.
When she was youngster, growing up with no mum. And that was another magic moment, coming to the theatre and watching you. No, sorry, you wasn't taking your
I was
grandma's
pregnant
place.
at the time, wasn't I?
Yes, you was.
Yeah.
You was. And it was my mum and her brother. And that was magical.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was really, really magical. So this was a show that I wrote and produced and directed called Nellie, and it was about my grandma's childhood. And it was based on those times when I just sit and chat with her. And then it was shortly after my granddad died. And I thought, she's not going to be around forever. And I love my grandma so much. I want to do something that demonstrates that love. And it's something that we can all remember as a family. So that's when I wrote Nellie, and I used to go and visit her, and I used to record her voice. And her voice was part of the show, so she narrated the whole show. And I remember she came to most of the performances, I think.
She came for rehearsals as well.
She did, and she'd tell Claire, who was playing Nellie, she'd tell her when she wasn't doing it right.
Yeah.
And then I remember she was quite shy at the first few performances she came to. But then later on in the run, she got more confident and started waving to people like she was the queen. And I think when she was walking to the shop, she had friends saying, "Hello, Nellie." That's a lovely memory.
Yeah.
And for me, that's made even more special because I was pregnant with our Sam. And I remember the last words in the show was, I married Sydney Peacham and I had 3 children, Margaret, Ronnie and Phil. And then she said, and I have 4 grandchildren and I'm soon to be a great-grandma. And those were the last words of the show. And I remember I was about 8 months pregnant at the time. And yeah, I will never forget that. So we're talking about my grandma's childhood. Like, going back to your childhood, do you have a particular memory that you'd like to share with us about that?
Yes. My mum and dad was a family infuriated. They didn't go drinking. They always took us out, me and my brother. There was just 2 of us at that time. Philip came along a lot later. And this particular year, it was going to... At the Christmas, my brother, Ron, got a cowboy outfit. And I wanted one, and I didn't get one. So in the March, when it was my birthday, I asked if I could have a cowboy outfit. And yes, I got a beautiful cowboy outfit. And the skirt, it was a skirt with all tassels all the way around the bottom. Oh, I looked $1 million, and I had 2 guns. And this particular week at Tivoli, that was the local theatre in Hull, had shows on. And this particular week, it was about cowboys, and in it was a horse. Now, I can't remember the horse, but Dad had been told that if children went with cowboy hats on or outfits, to get invited onto the stage. So me and my brother went, and it was my 5th birthday. And this horse had to tell everyone the age. So his foot tapped 3 times for my brother. Yes. And he tapped 4 times for me. And I said, no. And so he tapped again, and he tapped 5 times. Yes, I'm 5 today. And with that, everybody sang to me.
Oh, brilliant. That's really, really lovely. That's such a... I think somewhere I've seen a photograph of you dressed up as a cowgirl.
Yes.
And Ronnie as a cowboy. Mm. Interesting, like for us as a family, you weren't trained in theatre. You were not... I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's me, my granddad who was clowning, but you didn't do theatre. But theatre's been quite an important part of our lives.
It always has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Especially musicals.
Yeah. Yeah, we all love a musical, don't we? What's your favourite musical?
Oh. At the moment, Les Miserables. And then Oliver and Annie. I could go on and on. But yeah, Les Mis is...
It's a corker, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been quite a few times.
Yeah.
I can never say no if there's a trip going.
Yeah, I have to say I think I've seen it about 8 times. And isn't it interesting with Les Miserables, something beautiful has been made out of, what is essentially a really, really sad story. Which I suppose in a sense is what I'm trying to do with these podcasts and with a lot of the work that I'm doing through Finding Magic. Of of course, because Jess was your grandson. That's one thing that I'm trying to do, is to to make something magic, make something beautiful come out of something that is a really difficult situation that, well, not only do I find myself in, but of course you as well. And I mean, you've not had it easy, particularly over the last year. But of course, there have been other times in your life that has been difficult. What kind of things has really helped you through? How have you found your magic when the going gets tough?
I lost Dudley a year ago.
Yeah, and Dudley's my stepdad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you really loved him, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, he was my best friend.
Yeah.
After a week or two, you all had to go back home, and I was left on my own with neighbours. But I found going out on my bike with the wind blowing in my face, the cold, because it was January, February time. And I found going out there, all on my own, in the middle of nowhere, everything damp, and I could scream and shout and do what I like on my bike. And to me, that helped me get through. Because you can't scream and shout in your house and cry to everybody all the time. So that's how I got my frustration out.
And that was your special time and your special place.
Yeah, it still is now. Yeah. I don't scream and shout anymore, of course, but I'm out on my bike at least 3 times a week. Just fresh air, the birds singing. I can hear them now, I've got hearing aids. It's just lovely. And all the flowers, spring flowers coming out now.
Which leads me on to the next thing I was wanting to talk to you about is, well, I know for me, since Jess died, one of the things I'm really trying to do is to find a little bit of magic in each and every day, no matter how small. And, you know, what you just said about, you know, the flowers and hearing the birds singing, those are, you know, magic moments, aren't they?
Yes.
If you like. What other magic moments do you kind of hold on to or even notice daily that kind of like help you through?
Well, I'm not a gardener. I've never been a gardener. That was always your dad and then Dudley. But since I've got Dudley no more, I've got to do the gardening. And what's better than to sow some seeds or plant some bulbs like I did in autumn time and walk out in the garden now and see all those beautiful daffodils blowing about in the breeze. And the scent, that's magic for me. How our seed can grow from a seed and grow out, or a bulb turning into a beautiful yellow daffodil.
It is magic, isn't it? And I think often it's things like that we don't necessarily notice or recognise. But, I mean, that is magic in itself, isn't it?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Of course, yeah. It's like, you know, going from a seed to a flower. It's not unlike, I suppose, like birth. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, the seed in, you know...
Well, that's how we taught you children, that it was a seed growing, yeah.
Yeah, and then from that, you know, amazing. I still struggle to get my head round how, you know, how we create babies, you know, and babies are born, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, which takes us back to that moment when you said that you know, you saw our Sam and it was like falling in love for the, you know, all over again, not for the first time, but all over again, which is such a lovely thing. And I remember, I think the first baby that I really felt close to was actually my sister, because there's quite a lot of years between me and our Claire.
10.
There's 10 years, isn't there? Yeah. And she was born early, a lot of months early, I think. Was it 14 weeks?
It was 3 months, 12 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember being, going to see her when she was in a little incubator. And
in a stool.
And because me and Ricky were quite small still, that we carried our stool, and then we weren't allowed in, but we would go outside and we'd use our stool to stand up so we could see her in the window.
Yeah.
Which, for me is a really, really special moment.
Yeah. The special moment was when we all went to pick her up. She was about 7 weeks old and weighed just £5, so she was a tiny little thing. And we all went together to pick her up. And we get home, all go to bed. Next morning, you 2 children come rushing into me, got into bed with me, and there's Claire laid in her little cot. And I had to go out the room for some reason, and baby started crying. So I come rushing back, and what should I see? This tiny little bundle laid in the middle of you and Ricky with your arms round her. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that magic?
Yeah.
My 3 babies all together.
Yeah. And that is, you can't make that up, can you? That is just real, and that's what, family is. It's such a beautiful thing. I'd love you to share with me and everybody else who's listening a magic moment that you may have experienced.
Oh, yes, there's been many, but this one is of Jess. Jess is my late grandson, and we often had the children, but this particular weekend we had Jess to ourselves, Dudley and I, and they had bikes at our house, and we decided that we would go blackberrying. And this particular time the sun was shining, and Jess often used to sing. He sang quite a lot, did Jess?
He loved singing, didn't he?
Yeah. And he started singing this song, which I didn't know. And Dudley, being a school teacher, picked up what Jess was singing, and it was a song from primary school. And they were both singing away, picking blackberries. And that memory always stay with me.
That's lovely. I mean, I wasn't there, but as you're telling me that story, I can see it in my mind's eye and hear them both as well, because actually, both of them loved singing, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'd like to say something to you. And, before we started this podcast, there was me, you, and then there's Ian, our producer, editor, and we were chatting. And we said that, as a family in the past, we've not necessarily told each other that we love each other. We're just not being that kind of family. We've known it and we've felt it, but it's something that we've, never particularly expressed. But we do now, yes. And we're getting better at it. And my recollection, I think it started more when we did lose Jess. And I remember when I first asked you whether you'd be part of this podcast, and you said, yeah, but I don't have any magic. I don't know, what can I say? And I just have to say that it's been such an honour that you've come in and agreed to do this, because I know that it's not, something that you'd think, oh, I want to do a podcast, because that's not necessarily in your nature. But you agreed to do it because I asked you if you'd do it. And, it means such a lot that you've come in to do this thing. And before we go, I just wanted to say to you, Mum, that, you are magic. You're magic to me, but you're magic to so many people. And the magic that you have is, love, because I know that you love us so very much. But there are other kinds of magic that you have, things that I really admire about you, and that's your resilience. You've had a really tough year, but you've kept going. You're determined. You've got that I'll give it a go attitude. Like, we were laughing saying this is a first, the two of us doing a podcast together. But you've got that have a go attitude, that you will give things a go. And I know that no matter what situation I might find myself in, or whatever situation any other family member might find themselves in, you'll always be there for them.
Yes.
Absolutely. That you are there for us and you love us. And for me, that is magic. And so, thank you so much for coming and being on this podcast. It feels like it's been a really special conversation, and I'm genuinely really lucky to have you in my life. And to those of you who are listening, I hope that this episode reminds you to cherish the magical people in your life, and maybe give your mum, your dad, or someone special a call, or share a memory with them that makes you smile. If you've enjoyed this episode of Finding Magic, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who could use a little bit of extra magic today. And don't forget to tell the people who love you how much they mean to you. Next time on Finding Magic,
I sometimes believe in magic, but I do some wishes, but they never go true.
we're stepping into the magic of childhood.
It's scientifically proven that reading stories with your children makes them happier. It's such a simple gift that you can give to somebody, then I don't think there's anything more magical than that.
The Finding Magic podcasts were recorded at Soundyard in Norwich and funded by the National Lottery Community Fund and Norfolk Community Foundation. This has been a Finding Magic production with me, Beverley Bishop, produced by Ian Seisland.